Hello and welcome to Your Life Choices podcast with your host, me, John Deeks. Our aim is to bring you informative, interesting, helpful information from a wide range of experts. And today we're speaking with Josh Funder, who's the CEO of Household Capital. Welcome, Josh.
DC, thanks for having me, and also thanks to Your Life Choices for hosting us today.
Tell me about the company. Tell me why you started and what your aims are.
So Household Capital has a very clear mission, and it's to meet a big national need in Australia, and that's to make sure all Australians can fund their retirement and their lives. And quite simply, most Australians have got the pension. That's good. They own their own homes, and they've got a little bit of super, but they need to access part of their home equity to make sure they can go the distance. And Household Capital is here for only one purpose, and it's to deliver Australians access to their home equity so they can add to their super and their pension.
What's the percentage of your customers who would actually own 100% of their home?
Great question. Around 80% of Australian retirees own their own home.
So here's that fabulous asset that just keeps getting more valuable as time goes on, and then aren't able to realise the asset they've got.
Well, that's right. Now, a number of retirees retire with a part of their mortgage, and we're able to help them retire that debt, access their home equity to make sure they don't have to make payments every month on their mortgage, and also to access their home equity to fund other parts of their lives, renovating the home, drawing an income, helping the kids, being the bank of mum and dad. So it's pretty flexible. The main thing is you've saved in your home, you've saved in your super, and you want to have access to both flexibly throughout retirement.
What does the government say when you've got that access to those funds? Do they say, hey, I'll have some of that?
No, look, it's been a really exciting time for this generation of Australians in terms of being able to access the savings in their home and make sure they've got confidence that they can live at home, they own their own home, but they can also access the savings in their home. So Australia's got the best regulation in the world to support that and provide full customer guarantees. The Australian government led the world last year with its retirement income review, which put home equity as the third pillar of retirement funding across the board, including superannuation and the pension. We've just had an expansion of the pension loan scheme, which is a government program that very clearly indicates that home equity has a role to play in retirement, and it's in long-term responsible retirement funding. And then also, Deeksy, we've just had the Aged Care Royal Commission, and we know that the government's not going to be able to fully fund ageing and aged care. And so they're looking to find ways that people can get their entitlements to the basic level of services in the pension, in healthcare and in aged care, but also flexible ways that pensioners and retirees can self-fund the options they want, whether it's in additional income or improved in-home care. So the whole of Australia's system is really now pointing to including home equity as part of the retirement funding package that we can deliver to all Australians.
Is it going to affect my pension?
If you draw out home equity and invest it in a big asset, that will affect your assets test for the pension, and you may lose your pension. So you want to be careful about that. You want to get financial advice and always check with your Centrelink benefits and whether they're affected. But for most people, they're drawing it out as a regular income. That doesn't affect your pension. They're using it to invest in their own home and improve their home for their lifestyle. And also that's a capital gains exempt asset, but the family home's outside the assets test for the pension. So most people find a range of different ways to meet their needs and preserve all their pension entitlements. And they're pretty savvy. They've saved in their home, and they're not going to let the home affect their pension entitlements.
So somebody comes along to you and says, okay, I own 100% of my house. What are their biggest fears? What can you do to alleviate concerns?
Yeah, and there's been a big shift, and customers now have full confidence in accessing their home equity, owning their own home, and being able to live in their home as long as they want. So the big change in Australian policy and the rules over the last 15 years have been to make sure that your home is both housing and funding for life. And here's how it works. If you had $1 million home and you were 65, the Australian approach says that you shouldn't borrow more than 20%, so $200,000. But for most people, $200,000 doubles their super, if not more. And it makes a big difference to their ability to fund their retirement needs.
How do you mean that doubles their super?
Well, most people at retirement now don't have more than $200,000 in super. So if you've got another $200,000 that you can draw against your home equity, and that home equity continues to grow through your life, then you've got $400,000 available to fund your retirement from the outset, not just $200,000. So doubling super at retirement is a very powerful effect. Now, the other way that the Australian system is superb at protecting retirees, not just legally and consumer protections, but if you drew 20% of your home equity at 65, in almost all economic scenarios, good times and bad, by the time you're 90, you'd still own more than half your home. You'd still have more than 50% of your home equity at 90. And you could use that to continue funding your retirement, to leave to your kids as a bequest, or to fund your aged care. So the Australian system gives access to home equity that transforms retirement funding, but conservative amounts that mean you've got enough left for future needs and bequests. That balance is well struck in Australia. The consumer protections are very powerful, and that's what's giving people confidence to use home equity to supplement their pension and their superannuation. So we're a non-bank lender, and we have to draw our funding from other Australian banks who get deposits from investors. We've been very proud throughout the pandemic to have just done $100 million of retirement funding for retirees through COVID, and we're doing that fully digitally. The retirees that are our customers are all on Zoom meetings because they're talking with their grandchildren, and there's been no problem at all in getting great customer service and a great understanding of the options available to people on a Zoom meeting. And in the comfort of your own home, you can actually tap into your home equity just like you can tap into your pension and your healthcare.
100 million, that's a lot of caravans. What are they doing with the money?
Let's put that into context and be ambitious but modest at the same time. Australian retirees have saved $1 trillion of home equity. It's theirs, it's in their homes, and we really want to make it available across the land. So $100 million is scratching the surface. We've learned a lot. Our early customers have taught us a lot, and we're really good at it now. But there's a long way to go before we can make a big dent on the needs of Australian retirees, and to access part of that $1 trillion to fund each year the ongoing needs of a generation or two is our mission. So we're just getting started, but we're really proud to have learned and delivered through the pandemic for our customers.
Are all companies like yours the same?
No, we have a very clear set of values to do the right thing by retirees, to be transparent, to be trusted, and to deliver the lowest cost access to home equity. We've already done that. We've come in well under the bank's costs, and they've left the market, and we're going to continue to deliver great service and also great rates to make sure we can meet a national need. So we're a values-based company. We've got a very clear mission. We're very focused. We're a specialist for retirement funding. That's all we do, and we think we're doing it well, but we're going to get a lot better at it as we get more and more customers coming in.
Josh, what are some of the questions that retirees or potential retirees ask of you at Household Capital?
Well, Deeksy, I think some customer stories are the best way because their questions ring true. We had a customer who needed a lung transplant, and she's in her home and on the pension. She needed that in short order. She was really struggling with her health, and there's no way she could save to have the out-of-pocket expenses covered in order to get the lung transplant when it was available. Now, that was $20,000 upfront and another $10,000 post-operative that she anticipated not being able to meet on the pension. And we're really proud to help a woman like that. It's a small amount of her home equity to make a big difference to her life. The question is, can I access my home equity to fund a vital lung transplant? The answer is yes. But the questions from the kids and the grandchildren are really important too. Their questions to us is, how can we help mum and dad make sure they're good to go for retirement? Have they got enough funding? Can we help them? And the questions from the mums and dads are, how can we help our kids and our grandchildren? And we're able to do both those things. And we're really proud that there's no tension. It's an open conversation, and families can work out what mum and dad need now for their funding and their housing, and to put that in place. And if they've got enough super and home equity to do that and help their kids and be the bank of mum and dad, which is now the 5th biggest bank in Australia, we help them do that too. So what we're able to do is help mums and dads contribute to their children's first home buyer's deposit. That's a really powerful savings tool. It's one of the great investments their children will make in their home. We're also really proud to help grandparents help their grandchildren's education expenses. We're able to help people be the bank of mum and dad without sacrificing the last 10 to 15 years of their own retirement. They don't have to raid their super anymore. They don't have to raid the term deposit to be the bank of mum and dad. They can use home equity to help their children build home equity in their own homes and help their grandchildren get better jobs and education. So that balance between your own needs and your children's needs and being the bank of mum and dad is something that we've enabled. And a lot of our customers are taking the option to do both those in the same approach, a bit for them and a bit for the kids.
There's got to be a great website that people can go to and can have a look at everything we've been talking about. Josh, what is that website?
Yeah, so householdcapital.com.au is the website. Google Household Capital and we'll come up. There are e-guides there that really map out all the different ways customers can use their household capital, the different purposes that retirees have and how they can meet their own needs with their own home equity savings. And so there's also a fantastic call line, and the people on the phones at Household Capital are super informative and can really guide people through a personal process that will help them match their own savings with their own long-term needs. And then we've been able to set retirees off with confidence in their future, because a lot of retirees are really worried about how they're going to get through long lives and how they're going to fund their retirement. And one of the things we're proudest about is the letters I get from customers saying thank you. Don't say, I needed some money and I got great customer service. They say, I was worried about my future. I got great customer service and now I can look ahead with a bit more confidence. And that's the power of people responsibly accessing their home equity with household capital.
Josh, your team are here in Australia?
They are. We've got teams in Melbourne, Sydney, servicing all corners of Australia. And you can find out more on the website. There's live chat, but also at 1300 622 100 is the number.
Do that again. I'm very old.
Oh, John. John may be very old. He doesn't look very old and he doesn't sound very old to all those listeners out there. There you go. So 1300 622 100. And you can call people in Melbourne and Sydney who will take you through a guided tour of the options available to you, the needs you can meet with your own home equity, and how you can get great customer service and also great confidence in your retirement funding.
So if you'd like to know that number and you didn't pick it up, then just go to householdcapital.com.au or hit the 1300 622 100. And Josh, just once again, to give confidence to our Your Life Choices listeners, you are regulated within an inch of your life with the government, are you not?
Look, it's even better than that, John. Australia has the world's best regulation in accessing home equity. ASIC did a review of that in 2018 and found no breach. The Royal Commission found it no breach into banking and superannuation. Household Capital's brought together a team of experts on our advisory board and our team on the phones that you mentioned. We operate under the most heavily regulated financial product in Australia, and we're proud to do that because it's delivering great outcomes to customers. We don't need to test the edges of that to do great things for Australian retirees. And the other important thing that people can know is those standards will remain in place to protect Australians. And what they fundamentally do is make sure Australians have their home as housing and funding for life. And they can rely on that guarantee, and that gets them through with confidence.
Now, before we leave you, Josh, I think we have a mutual acquaintance, do we not?
Dixie, in response to your query before the show, some people really have got up to speed on developments in this market, and they've really explored the opportunities now available to retirees to improve their retirement funding. And funny enough, I know Noel Whittaker is a real friend of Your Life Choices and made a big contribution to the understanding of Australian retirees of their finances. And Noel's just publishing a new book, and in that new book, he really has a broad reach and insight into home equity and the role it plays in retirement funding. So there are people in Australia who have got up to speed, who have covered the recent developments, and are really looking strategically at the role home equity can play and providers like Household can play in helping retirees get through long and healthy retirement. So I would point to Noel, not just because he's a friend of Your Life Choices, but also because he's an expert on finance and he's also really up to speed on home equity as a source of really good information. And I'd point to his new book without giving him too much of a plug because he's one of the few to have really updated his approach and his perspective.
Household Capital, 1300 622 100. I remember the number. You didn't even show me. I remember the number. Josh, thank you so much for giving up your time. You're the founder and CEO of Household Capital, and we do recommend that people go on the website if they think that that is the right product for them and just see what's out there, because it's going to mean that your life can be very different, so much better. You can help yourself, you can help the children, you can help the grandchildren, and you can do it with confidence.
Dixie, to you and Your Life Choices, thanks for having us on the show.